Pastor Michael, day 9, a Gen Z white pill. Pastor Michael, we've had a potentially contentious few days, 12 days of Restless. So I thought here on this day we would do something to once again enjoy the ways maybe God is working in our day. It's a video I haven't watched all the way through, so it's a bit of a danger. But the video is called Why Religion Could Solve All of Gen Z's Problems. Pastor Michael, do you have this experience at all that when you engage with a number of people in Gen Z, it makes you more hopeful than perhaps engaging with people in our generation, especially when we're their age?
Yeah, I think so. There's at least a lot of cool things happening, right? A lot of horrific things also, right? Like, let's not, we want to be realistic about it. There's a lot of bad stuff out there, but I'm very hopeful that a lot of things are coming to an end, right? Like a lot of the things that have been so destructive in the lives, especially of a lot of younger folks, it's causing them to realize or come to spiritual truths in a way that it was maybe harder to before, right? So there's a kind of apocalypse happening, a revelation of a kind as some of those things are stripped away. And so I'm hopeful. I am hopeful in that way.
Yeah. And it seems like, it is there is just this very interesting dichotomy of especially, again, having a church plant. I love the college students who come to our church plant. And they are the great example of these truth hungry, like willing to act on these things, willing to think about the world in a way that most people in college I would have been around who are Christians would have been completely unwilling to. I mean, they are service hearted in our church, but it's also interesting because there's also the vast, outside that have never thought about anything deeper, right? Or the iPad kids, right? Like just all these, again, I'm sorry that those aren't the nicest way to talk about it. It's this very interesting dichotomy. As we're seeing people very dissatisfied, looking for something more. And maybe it's just people, because we're all at different places. They just haven't gotten to the point where they're looking for that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know where to look, right? Whatever, are still trying to make the world as we have it work. Because I know plenty of parents, as I know parents too, plenty of parents are obviously also heartbroken to what they see many of their young adult children now turning to, right? But anyways, let's listen to this young guy talking about why religion could solve all of Gen Z's problems.
Stumbled upon one of my more interesting takes, and if you've seen the title, it's why Gen Z needs religion. You see, I've been trying to really figure out where this mental health crisis is coming from. Social media seems to be a big factor. Isolation. But nothing sticks out to me more than lack of religion. And see, a lot of you guys might be already disinterested in the video. A lot of you guys don't subscribe to a certain religion. Hey, do what you got to do, but hear me out before you click off. All right. The reason why I believe that Gen Z could benefit from religion is because of the fact that when you look at an atheist's life, especially early on.
I'm going to pause it just to give his video a like. And, but Pastor Michael, one thing that is just striking me about this that's interesting is he says, this is one of my more interesting takes. Isn't it just and I'm sure he's right, but isn't it interesting? We just live in a time where a young person could be what I think most of us are missing? It's any sense of the divine or the transcendent religion.
Interesting.
And just I'm going to throw it out here, right? This sounds right. This is how the weirdos throw out the keto diet to their friends. What if you just stopped eating everything,
What if we just starved ourselves? And yeah, no, it's interesting, and it's cool that he's at least willing to broach the subject.
There is no direction. There is nothing that ties them to a set of values. You see, religion, if anything, if you don't believe in the stories, if you don't believe that there is a God, at the very least, if you look at the values of religion, they tie you to the bigger picture. You know what you're on earth for. You know the do's and don'ts while you're on earth. And you have a very concrete set of rules that can guide you throughout the insane amounts of uncertainty in life. When you live as someone who has no religion, what you'll often find is that you bounce around from opinion to opinion. You just basically will take on the newest opinion, the most popular opinion, which makes you extremely wishy-washy. You see, I don't think you can know who you are and what you stand for if you don't stand up for your values. And if you don't even know your values, then you are going to be in deep trouble. And more than ever now, we're looking to others, other humans who are.
Pastor Michael, anything you want to say so far about his continued just processing this idea?
Yeah, it reminds me, especially, when you're just saying, hey, at least some sense of, like you're saying, sense of the divine, or some kind of moral framework that kind of situates you in the world so that you know why you're here, what you're for, etc. I mean, it reminds me a lot of reading Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. If you've ever read this, not a Christian work, is a Jewish man, psychologist who had been in a concentration camp during World War II. And coming out of that, he reflected on his experience. And one of the things that he comes to is basically that the people who had a deeper, and I don't know if he uses this language, but basically some kind of deeper otherworldly belief, right? Whatever that was, right? The Christians, the Jews, who were committed to what they believed. Like if they had some true belief system, they believed that there was meaning and purpose behind even the worst of things that happened to them. They were the ones that made it through. And so it reminds me of that, only to say that, yeah, actually you as a creature made in the image of God, you're made to have that, right? Like you are made to understand that you have a higher and greater purpose. And that's made to situate you in your life, in your day-to-day, in the mediocrity of it, and in the hard times, and in the doldrums, and in the best and worst of times. That is supposed to help frame your life and what you're for. And so I think it's at least a good start, right? Obviously we would want to push it deeper and say, actually, it's not enough to just have that kind of beginning vague religious disposition. I do think that's a great start, right? Like that's, hey, like when you're moving in that direction, that's better than moving the other direction, right? If you're moving in the direction of everything's meaningless, everything's just bare material purposelessness, you're moving in the wrong direction. If you're moving in this direction, there's a chance. And I would probably, with someone like this, just, work with them as far as, kind of the line that C.S. Lewis uses sometimes of, hey, just start doing it. Come to church, like be around it, start listening to the Bible. Let's study the Bible some together. And actually what you'll find is eventually you'll probably just believe it, right? You'll just become what you are just trying at first. But yeah, I think that it's a great first step, man. Like let's get everybody taking that first step.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things where, like, again, the Reform guy in me and just the general evangelical in me, because this just sounds so different than how, again, people talked 20 years ago, would be like, oh man, you need to know religion's not enough. Like, we can't talk about general religion. But like, if these people literally have nothing in their background, Like they know nothing.
And that's what they're taught, right? Like their whole everything around them, the entertainment they consume, the teaching they receive from a government school system, it's that there is nothing and everything is meaningless.
Right.
That's all you get.
This is not the Protestant liberal saying, whoa, I think we should say all religions are the same.
Yeah.
This is a person waking up from the dark cave of secularism saying, wow, we've got to go find something else. Now, I don't know. Maybe he'll come to talk more about Christianity at the end. Again, have not watched this all the way through. I kind of doubt it. But right, this is just a person reflecting on the fact of the, right, as he mentioned at the beginning, we all have a mental health crisis, right? Isolation. And then he says, like, and this is why atheism long term isn't going to be popular. As he said, well, when you really think about atheism, it's them promising you no direction for anything. Right? Again, the like cool atheism is gone. Like it's going to die as these people, as the thoughtful Gen Z people think it through. They're like, yeah, we saw what that was like. It was the no direction, there's no answers. And so this is the beautiful opportunity for evangelism, right? He says, you know what's great about religion? You know what you're on earth for. You know where you came from. And then get this one. This is the one that like kills evangelicals who were hurt by moralism growing up. They're like, you get the like list of do's and don'ts and what to do while you're like, they're like, that can't be attractive. That's like the one bad part. No, like,
nope.
You understand when you have no sense of anything, how like wonderful that is when you're like, I don't know what a family could be like.
Right.
I don't know what to do with my money.
Oh man. Yeah. You're just, that's right. So like basically you have people that are growing up in the void, growing up in chaos, right? Both literally, right? Because their home life is a wreck, right? There's no stable, think about the amount of people that have a stable home life. Mom and a dad who love each other and love them and take them to church, right? Like just that basic, the most basic thing you could imagine, that's almost non-existent today, which is horrific, right? Like that's so sad, but it's just the case, right? That's almost non-existent. Almost everybody has parents who are divorced, single parents, don't know their father, those sorts of things, right? So you start off in chaos that never goes away. Like that is a kind of chaos that will follow you your whole life. I'm not saying that you can't find meaning in that and purpose. Obviously you can, right? God uses that and works through that. It's just that it is by very definition a kind of chaotic thing. It's basically like a scar, right? You might heal from this, but there's gonna be some scar tissue left. There always will be. Right. So you're growing up in that, and then add to that a regular repetition of the meaninglessness of life, the way that you're taught, everything that you're taught. There's this kind of totally nihilistic entertainment all around you, and that's everything, right? Like that's it. That's what you've been given. That's what you have. To be given order, right? To be given something like the 10 Commandments. All of a sudden, there's like purpose and there's order and there's structure to life that there never was before. You're right. That's a good thing, right? It's not just a good thing. That is going to be a desirable thing to somebody in that position.
Yeah, totally. All right, let's keep seeing what else he has to say.
Still trying to figure out their way of life for a set of rules that we can follow. We're looking at social media, we're looking at science, we're looking at things that are ever evolving. None of these things are constant. And I believe that the fundamental values that you need to subscribe to in your life need to be constant. They can't evolve. There are minor values, there are small things that will evolve over time. Of course, I think that progress is super important in any human endeavor. But when it comes to your core values, what you call your non-negotiables, you need to have those set in stone. Through good or bad, you're going to follow these. And I think that's what a lot of us Gen Zers miss out on. Without religion, you just kind of grift from one ideology to another, whatever suits you at your point in life. And you don't truly know what you stand for. You don't truly know what you're here to accomplish. You're very just living a meaningless existence for a lot of you guys. And I don't mean to offend you guys or to say, go sign up to your nearest church or mosque, but I think you at least need to start to put the idea of what are my values? Where am I going to get them from? How do I choose them? And what can I subscribe to that won't change throughout my life? And honestly, religion might be a good place to start. That's why a lot of the rules from religions overlap, because
We'll stop there. We'll stop there. He's probably about to give a pretty bad take about religion. That's okay. But right. Oh, Pastor Michael though. But science didn't. Oh man, we really tried the science is the key to everything, and it didn't work.
It's a great point, right? That it's constantly changing, right? Because one of the things that made science attractive as an answer, as opposed to spirituality, morality, things like this, was that, well, it's a constant, right? Like it's the cold hard facts. Well, actually, the cold hard facts are changing all the time, right? Like that is what we found out with science. I'm not saying that that's actually the case. It's just what we like. The science changes, right?
Yeah.
The science changes, and sometimes it's Anthony Fauci, and sometimes it's not. And so, like, it's just not a constant. It doesn't give that kind of solidity that people actually are looking for.
Yeah, I actually think that this is also kind of when I said, man, I have this experience where it seems like the Gen Z people I interact with are on one pole or the other. I think he actually sort of explains it here, that probably the ones that I perceive as not thoughtful or whatever is probably not actually the case. But what it is they're still trying to make the thing they were told to make it work. So they still are I'm going to use social media, the opinions of others, all of these things, to provide that solidity.
Yeah.
And so when I suggest, what about a supernatural source of those things? It literally just is not a thing that can compute if you're I'm going to make this work, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not a, it's not a, it's not it obviously is a deficiency, it leads to very meaningless places, but it's not a, it's not necessarily something about their person, right? Who they are. It's about what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Which again it's fascinating. So now we'll see him talk about the differences of religions.
Some don't miss. And if you look,
sorry, I'll try and bleep that.
We'll cut that one out, hopefully.
got a lot of issues in today's society: the degeneracy, the alcohol abuse, the drug abuse, the pornography addiction. If you look at relationships, everything is in the gutter. And a lot of the values that are promoted in these religions kind of tackle them pretty well. So take this as you will. Just a thought. Let me know if you guys have had a similar experience or realization in your life. And I will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Right. So he literally is what we're doing, there is no hope for our society. He's like, maybe if I throw the Hail Mary in religion, we can find a solution for the tragedy that is the alcoholism, drug abuse, everything, how screwed up everything is, right? He's like, whatever we're doing now is not working for us. There's got to be something else. And so the key thing we have as Christians to say to him and to everyone in this generation and every generation is you're right. There you are noticing something. You are noticing something real. But again, right? If you just, again, part of the problem would be if you just say, okay, I'm going to do the religious thing. That is you attempting another ideology, which you've already reflected on isn't going to help you long term, right? This is why everything's an ideology, and you hide.
Right. I see your statue to an unknown God, and I want to tell you who that actually is, because he can actually be known. That's the difference now, is that it's not just that you need some vague set of rules. You need to hear the voice of the God that made you, and you can, right? Because he's spoken clearly, authoritatively, and finally in the incarnation of Jesus Christ. And so you can know him, right? You can. In the beginning was the Word.
That's right. So it's good news for you. It's good news for you. And anything short of that won't save you, right? Because the other thing you may not know, especially in Western society, is we have tried to hold everything together without just allegiance to Jesus. We've tried what if we just do the 10 Commandments? Yeah. We've tried Thomas Jefferson's, just not the supernatural parts. We've tried all of those things, but they are just, again, man-made ideologies, when what we need is, as Pastor Michael said, an encounter with God in the way he's made himself known in Jesus Christ. And that is the hope for Gen Z. And I am happy and I hopeful for them. Pastor Michael, 9 days of Restless. How are you feeling?
Good. Yeah, this has been fun. It really has. It's always fun to get to do a little bit quicker takes on some things, although sometimes it's less quick, admittedly.
That's right. Well, if you know someone who is Gen Z, go tell them God loves them. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, do so. If you're enjoying the 12 days of Restless, reach out, let us know, tell us what you're liking. If you have comments or critiques, Pastor Michael, will you quick tell them your Twitter handle?
You can go to @MRMRKlein.
I got to change that handle. Anyways, we're having a great time. We'll keep it going, and we will catch you next time.